Okay.
Nate, I know you were astern of us, and the LSTs back there were firing, and we were firing, and the E-boats were firing back. I
Right.
remember they had green traces.
Traceable, that's right.
Right, our traces were red, and theirs were green. See, and I remember that, but outside of that,
There was so much confusion,
yeah.
happened so quick. You don't know if the E-boats hit our men, the 496 or both. But it looked like it was both. Because they were ahead of us and the 531 was behind us.
Yeah.
What did the explosion look like? I mean, from all three of you, what was it like? Was it a huge fireball or?
It was deafening. It was so loud and debris was flying everywhere and flames were everywhere. It was just tremendous.
Yeah.
It's hard to forget.
Well, weren't all the LSTs loaded to the hilt with fuel and equipment? So
Every LST was loaded with soldiers and equipment in the tank deck, and the top deck had Army personnel.
Yeah, we had
Trucks
Jeeps.
and
Remember the Jeeps were up
Jeeps.
on the top deck with they were pulling the smaller stuff.
Right. Every LST was fully loaded.
Oh yeah, fully loaded, fully loaded. I thought it was a real thing, but but you should talk to Darrow Downing. He was lieutenant. He was deck officer at the time, and they were watching the radar. And now I still don't know. There's so many stories about how many E-boats were out there, but I always thought that they traveled in three. And I would like to know. I'll call when I get home. I'm going to call Darrow and find out just how many E-boats were out there.
I believe it was 4.
Huh?
4.
There was more.
There was 4?
That's what I was told anyway.
Well, okay, that's more like it. But I read plain that there was 11 and there was 12, and that's ridiculous. If
Yeah.
there was that many, they'd have killed every one of us.
So Nick, do you think it's more than 4?
I thought it was more than 4. Some say it was 8 or 9.
But they don't travel. They don't. They travel like we brought back 3 PT boats. That were brought over there. 3 T boats, and I talked with the guys and everything from that, and they said that they operate in 3s, and I just kind of figure that maybe the Germans did. Maybe there were 4. You know more about it than I do. You were closer.
Well, Dr. Stam probably knows the correct amount because he met the commander of the E-boat that torpedoed the 507.
Yeah.
Oh, you know that.
You didn't have a commander on board, did you?
No.
Because we had the commander on. We had Commander Scable. And I heard that he was all fluttery about, nervous, and ordering the LSTs to scatter. And John Doyle, who was our captain,
He was a Mustang, wasn't he?
was a Mustang.
Yeah,
And
that means
let me tell you something
former
about
enlisted
him.
guy.
He was a good-looking man.
Was he?
He was a good, and he could handle play himself.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. He was the perfect officer, believe me. And he told Scahill to get your ass back down below and stay there. And that's really, I'm not kidding you, because he's the captain of the ship.
Yeah, that's right.
See? And Scahill went down, and we turned around and went back and picked up survivors.
I remember that.
Yeah, the captain of our ship was an experienced old Navy person that came up through the ranks. And
Must
I
have.
attribute his experience and skill to saving our ship, really, because he knew, he was cool and knew what to do on the fire. Although wounded, he got us back to where we were safe. Took 4 hours, but he did it.
And I tell you, that's something else. We hit 2 mines on the 496, and our skipper and the exec were up on the top deck, and when the explosion came, it came just in front of them, because we were, as an LST, you're sitting like this, so you hit back here where the mines hit you. So it went right up in front of them, blew the tops of both their heads off. And old Manny Rubin was the signalman on the bridge, and he took their bodies and wrapped them in the flags and threw them over so we could someone could retrieve them. And they did retrieve them, and they buried them in England, fortunately.
Yeah.
Well, we were we were ahead of the 496 on the day it hit the 2 mines, and we sent boats back to pick up casualties from the 496.
Yeah, one of your boats picked me up.
Now, this was over in France.
Right.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
was off
Few
the
days
Omaha.
Yeah,
About
Paul,
the 10th of June.
the 515, what beach did the 515 go to on D-Day?
Omaha Beach.
Okay.
We all went
We
to
hit
You all
Omaha
Omaha
Beach.
Beach.
We hit Omaha Beach, and then I guess we made a landing and unloaded, or did we unload? I don't remember whether or not we unloaded,
Not the first
because
day.
Omaha Beach was quiet, really. Was quiet. So, thank God for that. I was lucky there.
Omaha had so many obstacles on the beach.
God, they did. It's
You
terrible.
just couldn't get near there. And all the LSTs carried a LCT across the ocean on the top deck.
Mhm.
And this was another big landing craft. And the one we carried across, I remember, was 777. One of the times we went to Utah Beach, we saw it on the beach, and it had hit a mine. And I don't know what happened to the crew, because the crew was on our ship
Yeah.
with that.
Do you remember the breakwater they made of the ships,
Yeah.
Yep.
of the old ships
Yeah.
around
I sure do.
Omaha Beach?
I sure do.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
took them out there and sunk them to make a breakwater,
Oh,
so
okay.
our ships could get in there
Yeah.
and unload. But
Well, they did that for the back in England. They made these humongous docks.
Mulberry.
Huh?
Mulberry.
Call them the mulberry.
Well, that's good. You've got a better memory than I have. And I guess it was so that they could bring them in. I don't know.
They acted as a breakwater. It really helped.
As a breakwater, I know
Really
that.
helped.
Yeah.
That was Churchill's, in my understanding.
They
was-
towed all that stuff over.
Yeah, we towed it all.
Yeah.
We had a lot of that on our tank deck.
Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you for telling your stories, and thank you for your service.
We're not through yet.
Thank you.
Well, unfortunately, I have to cut this off.
That's right.
So, but maybe we can do this again before the trip's over. Okay? So
Okay.
thank you, and thank you for your service, and
Yes.
God bless all of you.
Thank
It's a
you
pleasure.
for your
It's a
interest and
pleasure.
help.
Thank you, Laurie. You've been.
I only hope we.
He saw a torpedo go under our ship, and definitely, that's about it. I don't know. We didn't get hit anyhow, thank God. But we went back and saved some men, a lot of men.
So what,
Oh, sorry.
what happened to Captain Doyle then? Was he court-martialed for
No, he
disobeying?
wasn't. No, he wasn't. Commander Scahill said that he wouldn't press charges, that he was doing the right thing, I guess, and they quieted down. So, but no, he was never. He received the Bronze Star.
Go. Way back in 1941, World War II had just begun. The call to arms was loud and clear, and men came running from far and near. We joined the Navy to do our part. We left our loved ones with a saddened heart. We went to sea as sailors do, on mighty ships as part of the crew. We swabbed the decks like a sailor should, and we manned the guns like I knew we would. We hit the beaches without a doubt, brought in the troops and the wounded out. We did our jobs, and we did them well, and victory was ours when the enemy fell. But that was years long gone by. When we think of them now, it brings a tear to your eye. And now we're old, our hair is gray, and we lost some sight along the way. And in parades our number is small, but we who are left can stand real tall because we were there. And we can say to one and all, our proudest days were way back then when we served our country as fighting men.